to support the kuffar in my heart was only out of the concern for my family. And the Prophet ﷺ forgave him. Of course, we know from this, when we say that supporting the kuffar against the Muslims is an act of kufr, it is not therefore upon you and me to start going around proclaiming that some people we seem, in our opinion, seem to be helping the kafir against the Muslims, to say they're kuffar, they're not Muslims. It's not permissible to do that, because that itself, by the way, is a major sin. To say about a Muslim, oh kafir, to say about a Muslim, you are a kafir, then as the Prophet ﷺ said, then one of the two of you will be a kafir. Whoever says about a Muslim, oh kafir, one of the two of you will be a kafir. If it is not true about your accusation, then it will come down upon the one who made that accusation. It is a major sin to accuse a Muslim of being a kafir. However, I say this by a warning. And some brothers and sisters may say, subhanAllah, what's this got to do with us? How would we support the kuffar against the Muslims? Brothers and sisters, you can support the kuffar against the Muslims even by a word. It doesn't mean that you say, don't worry, you can use my country for air bases only. That's not the only way you can support the kuffar against the Muslims. Not only that you say, don't worry, we will fight with you, O America and Britain, and we will fight with you against the Muslims. Yes, this is an act of kufr, to help the kuffar against the Muslims. But even, brothers and sisters, by a word, even by a word, even by some statement that you can make. For example, slandering and attacking the Muslims unjustly, such as you find many Muslims have done this about the Taliban. Slandering them and attacking them and reviling them based upon news that has come from the disbelieving media. Helping the kuffar against the Muslims. This, I have to warn you, it could be an act of kufr, brothers and sisters, that could take you out of Islam. SubhanAllah. In some way or another, even by a word, even maybe by a sign. And I say this, brothers and sisters, because this is something, unfortunately, the Muslims have completely neglected and failed to comprehend this fundamental point of our belief and our religion. That our alliance and our allegiance is to the believers. Our wala is to the believers, and our enmity is to the disbelievers. Because the Muslims are the people of Iman, the people of Islam, the people who have chosen to obey Allah, to leave shirk, to submit themselves to what Allah revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the disbelievers are those people who have chosen to rebel against that. And that is the worst rebellion. That is the worst type of rebellion. The worst type of disobedience. And this is something essential to the teachings of Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He told us, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. Verily the believers are brothers. The believers are a single brotherhood. We are like the bricks of the building supporting each other. If one part, we are like a single body. If one part of the body feels pain, the whole of the body is restless and sleepless. This is how we should be. This is our condition. So brothers and sisters, I warn you against this oft-neglected major sin of aiding and abetting and helping the disbelievers against the believers. This is a sure sign of hypocrisy, of pure hypocrisy. Another thing, brothers and sisters, that I feel is important to mention concerning the oft-neglected major sins. And again, when we say a major sin, what we're talking about here is indeed an action of kufr. and that is practicing magic. Either practicing magic, or seeking help, or seeking the aid of one who practices magic, and even being sympathetic to the practice of magic is an action of clear kufr, of clear disbelief. It is something that removes you and takes you out of Islam. And this is something, brothers and sisters, that is very dangerous. Now we have Harry Potter flying around in his broomstick. And we have Lord of the Rings, and so many things, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and the kids sit in front of there and say, oh, it's Sabrina, put on Sabrina, oh, Harry Potter's my favourite film. But you know, brothers and sisters, it may all seem innocent, but in reality, all of these things are promoting magic and the practice of magic and the practice of the occult. There is no such thing as good magic and bad magic, white magic and black magic. All magic is bad. Because every person who practices magic is given the ability to do it, or shaitan will help that person because of an action or a statement of kufr that they have made. They will have to do something of kufr. Maybe they will sit on the Quran, tread on the Quran, worship an idol, or commit some act of kufr. And when they do that, the shayateen will aid them and help them in their magic. And it doesn't matter, even if the man, he prays and he fasts, and they say he is a holy man. If he is practicing magic, then this is all a pretense, and he is only using the shayateen, and this is because he has committed some act of kufr. Sometimes you find Muslims will go to what they believe is a holy man, but in fact he is writing the verses of the Quran in pig's blood. He is doing something or some action of kufr, and through that the shayateen and the jinn help him. And this is widespread amongst the Muslims, as you know it. People go and they go to magicians, and they go to these people who are considered sometimes to be holy men, sheikhs or peers, as they call them in Urdu, peers, sheikhs. I don't mean the good religious sheikhs, but these imposters. Sometimes they claim to have the knowledge of the unseen. And this is another major sin. In fact, also an action of kufr. To go to fortune tellers, to soothsayers, to people who you believe will tell you what is going to happen to you in the future. Also, again, some of these people pose as righteous men. In fact, we have heard stories of people who go to these sheikhs, and they say, and this is a story that I have heard, the one couple, they went to see this sheikh, and their daughter was sick, and she was in the car. And they came and sat in front of him, and they said, and the first thing he said to them, why did you leave your sick daughter in the car? So how did he know that? And then he will tell them about their problems. He may even say, you are pregnant and you are expecting and there's no sign. He may tell them about their problems in their life. That you are suffering marital problems and this and that. Even we have heard stories of one brother, he told me how he went to a man who was supposed to be a holy man in Pakistan. He travelled many miles from Karachi to some remote village. And the moment he stepped through the door and sat down, this man produced, the so-called holy man, produced a packet of his favourite cigarettes. Yes. And in fact, he told me that these cigarettes are almost impossible to find in Pakistan. And he said to him, this is your favourite cigarette, isn't it? Yeah. How did he know? How did he know that? They know these things because they work with the shayateen and the jinn. And they only do that because of their kufr. But people say, oh, they have ilm al-ghayb, they have knowledge of the unseen, and they make shirk with Allah. Because only Allah is alim al-ghaybi. Only Allah is knower of the unseen. And Allah does not give knowledge of the unseen except to His chosen messengers. And this is how the shayateen deceive people. And how many brothers and sisters open up the morning newspaper, maybe the sisters more than the brothers. The brothers, we know, they go to the back page and say, what's the footy happening today? And maybe the sisters, some of them, Allahu A'lam, I hope not, they go to Auntie Jemima's horoscope page. Oh, I'm a Pisces, what's in store for me today? You will meet a handsome stranger. Big changes are going to happen in your life today. But you might feel a little bit depressed at times. Oh, it's so true. How did Auntie Jemima get it so right? And although we laugh, brothers and sisters, it's really not funny, because this is an act of kufr. Even to turn to the horoscopes out of curiosity, your prayers will not be accepted for 40 days. Yes. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever visits a fortune teller and believes in what they have said, disbelieves in what Allah revealed to Muhammad. Whoever visits a fortune teller and believes in what they said, disbelieves in what Allah revealed to Muhammad. And whoever visits them out of curiosity, Allah will not accept their prayers for 40 days. Means that the obligation of prayer is still upon them, but their prayer will not be accepted for 40 days. And brothers and sisters, there's one thing I want to mention, although tomorrow there's going to be a whole talk dedicated to this. And that is abandoning the obligatory prayers. Abandoning the obligatory prayers. In fact, according to some scholars, but we will talk about this tomorrow, we're not going to talk about it today, only to mention that some scholars have said that the person who purposefully leaves prayer actually leaves the fold of Islam. So that is something that we'll talk about tomorrow, inshallah. The next major sin that we want to talk about, and this is the first of the major sins, that brothers and sisters, is not something that makes you a disbeliever. All of these things that we have talked about so far can all make you a disbeliever. If you die having upon these things without repenting, then you are in danger of going to the hellfire forever and never coming out. However, now what we want to talk about is some other major sins that are less than that, but they are still very severe. And the first of them that we want to talk about, and this is something, brothers and sisters, many people neglect. And this is riyā, showing off. That we do our deeds not for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we do our deeds either in order to impress people, to get their admiration, to get their praise, or to please them, or we may do this action for some worldly benefit and worldly gain. For example, one makes Hajj not with the intention of performing the pilgrimage, but the intention of doing business, meaning that is your intention. Then this is riyā, this is what is called lesser shirk. Because you are doing an action that should only be for Allah, and you're doing it for other than Allah, for something other than Allah. It does not take you out of Islam, but it is a major, major sin. Indeed, on the Day of Judgment, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the first 3 people that will be brought before Allah on the Day of Judgment is a scholar, a martyr, and a charitable person. So the one who will be born the first, he will be one who had died fighting jihad. And Allah will say to him, what did you do with the bounties that I gave to you? And he will say, oh Allah, I fought jihad in your path, until I was